I've started, by the way. I this is how chill I am. It's like, oh yeah, now they can see you. It's yeah.
This is a conversation.
This is a hang.
Other than the first time we met at karaoke, and then the little talk before this, we don't know each other.
Don't know you from Adam.
I heard your wonderful podcast interview with Kip Vandenheuvel, our mutual friend.
Oh yeah.
That was my first introduction to him. Like, oh, this. I loved your focus on the business and how dedicated you were. I just thought it was a wonderful.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to have Kif on. This is Darin DePaul, by the way, everybody. You might have heard of him. Yeah, that's Darin. That's Darin right there. Inferno. Yeah, Inferno TCGS. Can you guys do the voices? Yeah, keep your pants on, Inferno. All right. That's we just got started. All right.
I was a theater major and an English minor, and they'd always go, can you do it? Yes. Will you do it? No. I can.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? The way we like to do this is somewhere near the end of the interview, which we only have an hour with Darin today. He's busy. Sorry. He's booked. So we're out of here in 53 minutes. But I'm gonna jam pack it with Sententious Substance. Yes. But near the end, don't worry. Yeah. You'll get your.
We can talk about that because I didn't tell you this. I was saying I was so excited to get in this project because early on I saw that first trailer and I loved the style. I loved the characters. I just thought this is a world I want to explore and be a part of. But I thought, oh, they've got their people. It's just going to be the first date. That's all. And I work a lot with JB Blanc. He directs me in a lot of projects. And we talked about it. He was really excited. And when the audition came through, which, it's a code name and...
Yeah, it's still a code name.
It's still a code name, yeah. I was fascinated by how nihilistic the character was. And I didn't know it was a main character. I thought, oh, it's a quest giver in a game. That must be what he is. And originally I thought, oh, it's kind of like Jonathan Banks in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It's that very stoic, quiet... the line that really stuck out in the audition was, I've seen the other side. There's nothing. You're nothing. And I went, oh, I've not played that color in the palette yet in all the characters I do. I love this. So did the audition, thought nothing of it. Months go by, got a call back, didn't tell me what it was for. Went in, got to work with the team. Again, didn't know what it was for, had a great time. And when a couple months later they said, you're going to be doing it, I was thrilled, and they sent me the script, and I saw some things, and I'm like, oh, I'm in Apex Legends? And went in and was so excited, and Tom and everybody, Eric was like, that's the cast. Everyone is so excited to come in and explore these characters and this story. All the actors, all the writers, it's just this wonderful gift and this journey that we all get to be on together.
Yeah. Okay, chat. Now, there's about a 15-second lag on the chat. They see it 15 seconds after we do it. So it's a time machine, as I like to call it.
That's a great way of looking at it.
It is. It's 15 seconds in the past. They're reacting to things. Okay.
It was so what a wonderful time 15 seconds in the past was.
Wasn't it? We were so much simpler then. Good thing we solved that COVID by now. So, yeah, God.
Wait a second.
Whew, boy, yeah. By the way, I'm showing my Apex love, and Darin is this is how Darin dresses, by the way. This is not just for this show. Darin does not put on airs for just that. He is just, this is who Darin is. And this is who I am. So here we have me showing Pathfinder.
Well, it's what we said earlier. It's like my dad was a designer, and I live in New York most of the time. And style is what makes you comfortable. It doesn't matter if you're comfortable wearing it. This is the way I dress. People started. My friend Mark Gagliardi, I told you, he said, "You're the voice dandy of Hollywood." And I went, "I like that name. I will accept that banner."
Absolutely. And there's a great story about Sean Connery when he first took the role of James Bond. The designer, I guess the wardrobe designer of the movie, before they started shooting, way before they started shooting, basically made him a bespoke suit, and he told him, I want you to go home and I want you to sleep in this suit. And I don't mean wear it all the time. I mean literally go to bed and wake up in it. I want you to be so comfortable wearing this thing because that's the character. This character does not leave the house without a suit, and that's what he did. He basically grew into this role head to toe?
I'm just very comfortable in a suit. I like it. I grew up in Palm Beach, Florida. We did the whole private school thing, so we were always wearing coats and ties in Florida.
Oh.
It's very hot.
I did it in Savannah, Georgia, private military school.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it's fun doing formation in the summer, or in those spring warm months, and you got 400 students just standing there in the hot sun. Good times.
But you learn discipline, and that's a lot of what we do now is we bring that focus and that discipline to every time we go into the booth.
Right.
Now I just love to do that. Just lift. Go ahead.
Well, I'm wondering if you're wearing the suit and it's a long record, do you ever loosen the tie? Do you take the jacket off?
Well, I cannot record in a suit because of the wrinkling. So
okay.
I'll have a polo. I always come in a jacket. But then, that has to go off because it'll rustle.
Yeah.
But I do like to at least dress up or look business casual, if you will. But when I'm normally, this is comfortable to me, and it's nice to celebrate. Deb and I were saying we had our anniversary, and we got dressed up. We went. I told you we went to a Zoom wedding on Sunday. One of my best friends from theater, Terry Kelly, she was getting married. All her plans fell apart. She's like, "We're going to do it on Zoom." Everybody was dressed. It was very theatrical. And it makes you feel back to normal, if you will, during these crazy times.
Yes. Yes. And your anniversary you just had was your 25th?
25th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Felicitaciones, senor.
We were going to be in London. It was great seeing all of our friends, and it didn't happen, but hopefully we will be traveling again because Deborah studied at the National, and we have a lot of friends in London. We're over there a lot, and it's second home to us in a lot of ways. There's New York, but I told you everything. I'm such a New Yorker. Everything I don't like about Los Angeles worked out during this crazy time because we always went. It's so isolating. I feel so alone, and now we're like, I don't want to talk to people.
Yeah,
it's worked out in a crazy way. I miss going in the studios, though. I do miss going in, and because we're doing a lot. I said we did a promo this morning. I have a session for another project a little bit after we do this. I've got animation in the morning. Every day I get to do stuff. I don't know how I got so lucky. People are trusting me. It's very nice.
You're as
I get
busy
to work on all these great characters.
Yeah.
And explore these different worlds. That's why I love Apex is different than Overwatch, is different than what we're going to be doing on Avengers coming up in September, is different than the great Star Wars characters that I've been playing, or Final Fantasy. It's great to be able to do these and just bring everything that I used to do on stage. Because I do still, that's the lens that I view things from, being, coming from theater. Yeah. I'm always like a theater actor.
Come say hey to Darin.
Hey.
Hello, I'm Darin.
This is Remy.
I'm probably dressed like your accountant.
Well, because he's on headphones, so you can just say hello real quick because Darin can't stay as long as my other guests. Remy just booked a part. We cannot announce the project, but he just booked a part in an animated series, and he'll get a few episodes out of that. So,
congratulations!
Chip off the old block. He just said congratulations to you.
I would love it if it was one that we did together. That would be absolutely thrilling.
Yeah, you never know. We might.
Does he work for Apex or?
Does he work for Apex? Yeah. Well, he's the voice of Revenant in Apex. Yeah, here, let me let you hear his voice real quick, and you can say hey to Revenant.
I've got 2 kills over you, Mommy and Daddy. That's him. He's a low voice robot guy. Yeah. We like him. He's so nihilistic and
Pathfinder, except still a robot.
Yeah, don't listen to him, son. I'm the good robot. Yes. Okay.
Well, do you think that's what we were talking about? It. We never thought that Revenant would get any kind of redemption, and I still don't know where that story's going.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's capable of it. I mean, he was made into a monster. It's like there's another thing I recently did, Doom and Doom Eternal, and Dr. Samuel Hayden made himself into a monster to progress his ultimate goal.
Right.
Revenant got made into a monster. I mean, I think he really loved fitting in. That's how he did his job as a hitman. He
Right.
went unnoticed. He was very, you wouldn't pick him out in a crowd.
Right.
And now Hammond Robotics has turned him into this thing. He cannot help but be noticed.
Right. Exactly. And everyone is capable of a redemption arc, obviously. All good characters have arcs, although I have to admit, one of my favorite characters of all time has no arcs. Hannibal Lecter, there's no arc there. He is exactly the same person from beginning to end of every movie. He's capable of about the same amount of empathy in each one, but it's still an extremely rich character.
Yeah.
But you're not looking for him to be redeemed. He becomes this proxy good guy that you hope will take out the even more despicable bad guy. But Revenant, perhaps that's his redemption arc. We can only guess. But you'd have to bring in someone, I think, almost as a greater antagonist than Revenant for him to push back against. I mean, I don't see another way for that to happen.
I mean, I know that he would rather not work with everybody. He'd rather do this himself, but he is forced to work with everybody.
Yeah.
So that makes a very interesting dynamic. There's a wall up, which I love. He's got this wall of, he's not going to go there.
Yeah.
But that's why I love, when they gave him that wonderful thing of, I'm not thanking you.
Yeah.
It's very quiet. I told you, I'm so sorry. The stream probably can't hear. He's one of the quietest characters I did. When we did the first session, we were so up close to the mic and really, riding it. And a lot of the smacky noises were coming through on M's and L's, because in recording that happens. And there were no green apples. If you have a green apple, that will help with the smacking. So Emma ran out to get them, and they had them there. And they're like, no, for the next 3 days, these are Darin's apples. Nobody can eat them. And it was utter joy. I mean, they're doing great things over there, and we are so excited.
Yeah.
When I got to do very exciting day was when we did the animated short. That was it. I started off doing a promo for Nickelodeon with like a Santa Claus voice. It was like 7 a.m. Then ran to the studio to do Forge, the short for Forge and the short for Revenant.
Right.
Then I had to run to Anaheim to host BlizzCon's community night.
That's a haul.
Running everywhere, and and community night at BlizzCon is utter joy, but there's no prep. It's like, there you go.
Yeah.
There's 6,000 people here. There's thousands over there. People are watching. Go and be charming.
But
and
that's catnip for a guy like you and a guy like me, because I came up through stand-up. And I was a drama minor, so I had some theater. But you're a theater guy. And I know with the kind of training you've had, which we can get into, sure, you can throw you up in front of a lot of people, and obviously the nerves will still be there because you need them.
Oh yeah,
you have to have them. Yeah.
But also, I did do stand-up.
Okay, so there's a connection
short
there.
Stand-up thing in the 80s when they were doing it. I was doing it with like Jake Johansson and Kevin Meaney and Ellen early on. Rosie O'Donnell was very kind to me, and then I went into improv a lot. I was with the First Amendment and the Groundlings.
Okay.
So I had a big improv background, but theater has been, that's that lens. I worked so long in theater doing so many different things, and, repertory companies where you're doing the show at night, you're rehearsing another one, in the morning, you've got all these characters in your head. And that really helps. That really informed everything we do with voiceover.
Yeah, I try to tell people this because I get asked this many times, and people usually want to know, how do I get into voiceover? How do I get into this or that?
Yeah.
And very often the suffix is, because I can do a lot of voices. And I always say, hey, that's great, but it's not a coincidence that most voice actors, really successful working voice actors, it's not a coincidence that most or almost all of them have some sort of live performing background. And it's true of many actors. It's true of many on-camera actors. A lot of them did theater, but some of them are almost entirely creatures of the set. But voice actors, there's some sort of switch that gets flipped in us, because very often we're required to do many different characters. And you develop that talent, you develop that craft through live performing.
Yeah, and you learn from, I had wonderful directors. I did a lot of musicals. So there's a big discipline in that. You know, so you learn to be focused and disciplined and take every second so seriously. A friend of ours was a dancer in the last tour of Sweet Charity. This was a long time ago with Gwen Verdon. She was the director. And she called him out. She was so upset. And she's like, Nick, it's not this, it's this. You know, it's that Fosse thing of you were off a hair.
Yeah.
And that's what we come from. It's not, oh, that was good enough. It's like, no, this has to be right.
Yeah.
And you bring that when you're in the booth making those lightning fast choice decisions.
Yeah.
Everything we do, like what we did, I was talking about when we did the shorts. I mean, there were longer versions of both of them. We did a lot for Forge. I did a bunch of improv things that we did for Forge. I worked with the wonderful Anna Graves. We were there together on set. They filmed it for reference,
Okay.
you know, for the animators. So that same kind of set with us sitting there together, and that was joyful. And a lot more, you know, they changed some lines for what Revenant would say in the short. It's like, well, maybe we'll have Loba's father say this, and then Revenant will answer that way. So it was all different, just choices. And I loved what they went with. I just thought both of them were just so beautiful.
Yeah.
They're doing great stuff. I'm so thrilled to be part of this journey. I get very Pollyanna, but to be part of this story and to see where it's going to go.
Right.
And this wonderful group of people that we're with, like Zara Fuzzle, I saw her in a play right before, you know, in the before times, right before the lockdown.
Yeah.
She did a play called Found, this musical Found, that was written by Hunter Bell, who I did my Broadway debut with. And, you know, we're just sitting there going, look at where we are now, and watching Zara then, you know, do this beautiful performance. And it's just so exciting.
I discovered this about my Apex castmates on karaoke night. So some of you are aware of this, but it was back in, I think it was in January or February. It was
February,
early in the year, and that's when you and I finally met.
Yes.
And so at karaoke, I'm a mimic, and I can kind of mimic singing, but I'm not a singer, quote unquote. So I can sort of get by. And then I'm watching you, Zara, Allegra, Justine, Mella. These are people who are not only singers, they're practically operatic in the notes that they can hit, the control, and the fact that they know all of these songs so well. And I think even Zara sang in Japanese. And so I'm sitting here thinking,
Allegra was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
When they did Summer Nights from Greece.
Yeah.
And Zara took the Travolta part, and it was this wonderful, fully realized performance.
Yeah.
And it's those times you go, I am so happy I'm in this room right now.
Right. And I tell my wife, because my wife is a singer, and then I said, this is our tribe. Everybody has a tribe, and these are the people that understand me and I understand them.
Well, because it's what we do matters in this strange way that we don't understand.
Right.
On someone's best day, on someone's worst day, they're spending time with us in a game, in an animation, in something. And it really, I don't know how we got so lucky to have these characters and these performances that, you know, supported by these wonderful writers and designers. Speak to so many people. I was telling you, I got to do 4 Make-A-Wish for through Blizzard.
Yes.
And little children are going, I want to spend time with Reinhardt, you know, as part of, I don't know if they're going to recover, but that they want to spend that with you, and that you share your heart with them. And we're all in tears. And the last one I did, the first 3 were just a general Overwatch one. And the last one was a boy that wanted to spend it with Reinhardt, and they didn't know I was coming.
Okay.
And they set up for lunch with Jeff Kaplan, and I'm just outside the room, you know, going, hello! And because Reinhardt is the opposite of Revenant. He's nothing but joy, and he's huge.
Right.
And you walk in the room and you see the smile. It's, wow, how did we get so lucky to be able to connect with so many in our art and have that mean so much to them?
Now, you were doing a bit of this charity work before with Make-A-Wish, correct?
Yes. It's through Blizzard. They asked for a final thing. It was through sick children. It's this wonderful, wonderful charity. And you get to spend time with them. And 3 came to BlizzCon. And spent time with the performers, and 1 went to the Blizzard campus. And we showed him around, and they showed him a video on the development of Reinhardt, early images and this and that. And I got to sit with him and talk with him. And you just, again, you connect on a human level that you never thought was possible.
Yes. And what I discovered, like both of us, neither of us were gamers. And you're probably still not a gamer. I take it you probably...
That is where you were wrong.
Oh, really? Oh, enlighten me, please.
I was a big gamer. Still am to a certain extent. Like before I started doing Blizzard, 66 characters right now. How did that happen in Blizzard? I was a big Diablo fan in Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Blizzard knows I would play Diablo 2, go through the entire game as each character. Like male, female, whatever role. I wanted to hear what they said.
I think I was...
Visit.
Yeah, I was in one of those Diablos. Yeah. I don't know which one it is.
I loved that. I loved exploring. I spent hours doing that. Okay. Again, when you're on the road, I did a lot of national tours. You're in the hotel at night, or I was an understudy a lot because I did many things.
Okay.
So you're not in the show.
Right.
So you'd sit backstage, you'd watch the show, you'd make sure you knew it. Another show, you're like, I'll wait backstage and I'm going to play a game.
Uh-huh.
And I would play Knights of the Old Republic, Halo.
Okay.
And Diablo became like my jam. I loved it. And it's ridiculously dark, but I loved visiting that world.
Yes. Now, do you have a console now? Do you still occasionally game? Do you have the time?
No, I don't have as much time as I did. In 2018, I was playing all the time. I had this goal of I'm going to spend time with each project that I'm in. I want to experience it. And this weird thing happened at the end of 2018 was my left hand stopped working. My thumb stopped working. My hands stopped working. And went to doctors, didn't know what happened. Went to a hand guy who was Eastern European, sounded like my dad, and was very disappointed in me. And he said, it's a quick surgery. I'd never been to surgery before. I was terrified. They're like, oh, you're going to be awake. So they cut open my hand. I'm awake. And he's like, move your finger. And I'm like, I'm trying. And he goes, I don't know what's wrong with him. Close him up. I don't know what's wrong with him. So it wasn't what they thought. And they had to do an MRI and a whole thing. And then I go back in. He's like, well, you have this thing called Parsonage-Turner syndrome. A virus has gotten into the tissues and muscles of your hand. You'll never use your hand again. Get used to it. You will never use, it's going to lock into place.
Uh-huh.
And I went to physical therapy, and this wonderful physical therapist said, let's prove him wrong.
Right.
So, because when he's like screaming at me, I'm like, I'm so sorry, Dad.
Yeah.
I disappointed you with my body.
Right.
So I don't play as much because I don't have what I did.
Okay.
I can play kind of Diablo with one hand on a Mac.
Gotcha.
But we do have the PlayStation, and I miss it. I miss it desperately because it was part of my identity.
Well,
I loved exploring those worlds. Like I played a lot. I think the last thing that I played a lot of was Shadow of War, the Mordor game.
Okay.
That I got in, doing a lot of orcs, and I was the voice of the Balrog and Ring Wraiths, and JB directed me on that for 2 years. We worked on that game.
Yeah, I remember I've worked on 2 or 3 Lord of the Rings games. I think at this point everyone has.
It's part of the rules.
It's part of the rules. You got to do your Lord of the Rings game. And I remember thinking, well, geez, after the 3 movies are out, they're going to run out of games. And I realized, no, there's lots of material there, and they would just keep building out, creating characters. And what I would do,
like us. It's like Apex. There's a world to explore.
Yeah,
we're not just the cantina of rogues.
Right.
I always go, we're the little cantina. You might follow somebody there. There's this entire universe that we can explore, this whole wonderful palette that we can paint with. And I think the writers are having a blast.
Yes.
Just surprising people.
Yes. And this is not the only world you're a part of. You've got a few other games that are these massive universes that are continuously expanding.
Is so wonderful, and Doom is great, and I think people are going to be very, very, very surprised and delighted by Avengers. And I have a whole bunch of other franchises that I can't even talk about yet. One is until 2021.
Okay, what can you talk about today so people can look for you and other stuff? And there's always IMDb. You can look them up there.
IMDb, I'm in a lot of things. Right now, the last thing that came out was the Mortal Kombat animated movie through WB.
Okay.
That came out with me and Steve Bloom and Fred Tatasciore. We always, the three of us worked on the Shazam movie together. We were the 7 Deadly Sins.
Oh, nice.
All 3 of us. We did all the creature voices and everything. And again, a glorious session. Anytime I can spend with Steve Bloom and Fred Tatasciore, it's going to school. It is being a fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's just utter joy. They are so talented and so kind. I've only really, I did theater for many, many years. I did voiceover in commercials. I was on a long-running Geico campaign for 8 years. But I've only been doing this for 7, probably 6.
Okay.
And that everybody has welcomed me and made me part of this community, and that I've gotten to play characters that people like to spend time with. I'm always amazed by that. That I can play Reinhardt and be this joyful, wonderful, wonderful human being, and then go and do Revenant, who I don't want to say he's a bad guy, because I think he's just following his own thing. You play the character, you don't judge the character.
We talked about
you're
that.
Standing outside the character.
I think we talked about that. I think I mentioned that to someone yesterday. If you judge your character, then you're not going to be playing them authentically. Characters tend not to judge themselves. They honestly believe what they're doing is the correct thing to do. If you're standing outside them casting judgment, it affects how you portray them. And so if I'm being Pathfinder, Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky, I can't be ironic about it. The way I might react to a Pathfinder standing next to me, I can't keep that cool, detached demeanor. I have to be Pathfinder's own sense of unlimited joy. And yes, in Revenant's case, this is what he's supposed to do, make sense to him.
It's lovely that we can, when we go in and we just elevate the material and serve the story and just honor the writing. It's all there in the writing. They've given us such wonderful gifts. Some of the things were just like, this is delicious to say for Revenant. It's not just no. They'll explore these wonderful things. And I think there's some ad libs that they had me do the last thing when it was the Loba trailer, when it was, "You come to kill me, little girl," or I forget that line. Yeah. And I did some other ones and they went, "Oh, too dark. Oh, too dark." I'm like, even too dark for him. I was like, what if we try this?
Yeah.
So I love that they'll put the reins on me and go, "Hey, happy boy." I guess in life I am like Pathfinder. I try to be joyful and positive, but I can take that depression and that sadness and that pushing people away that's inside me and hitch it up and make it pull a plow to progress the work, if that makes any sense.
Oh,
I can harness the sadness in me.
I believe I talked to somebody about that. I think it was on the stream because somebody had a question or two, and I said, yes, a lot of acting is pretend, but everybody has every emotion in them, unless you're a sociopath. So everyone, and with training, and some people are just naturally gifted at it, everyone can access those and wear them for a bit. And then when they say cut, when the line is done, you put it back down again. Depending on your level of commitment to it, or just depending on your ability to recover, it will stay with you or it won't. And so I discovered when I had kids, my emotions, which as an artist were always near the surface, came up a bit more. And it was very easy to do a crying scene for a performance capture project. And I owe some of that to the fact that I have children, and I'm just more in touch with how I feel about anything.
Well, I'm Russian, French, Arab, and Irish. We're not a happy people, so I can cry easily, and I do because again, I got a great second act, maybe a third act in my career because I had the theater thing going. Now all of a sudden there's this.
Right.
I'm so grateful, and I do not take that for granted. It's just I'm like, how did I get here? In that when we did the short for Overwatch, the Reinhardt short, it was 7 hours. That session was 7 hours because they said we're going to do a table read. Okay. Then we're going to do myself and Piotr Michael, fabulous performer.
Right.
Dang, he's good. He was Baldric. Like we're going to do improvs in character. We're going to do improvs out of character. We want you two strangers to know each other. and then we're going to hit this 7-minute short from every angle. And then they ordered us German food, and we all sat there and celebrated. And it was this glorious, glorious day. I wish we could have done it, you know, with Anna when we did the wonderful Forge.
Right.
Oh, there was some great stuff. I loved what we did in that Forge short. We were telling a good story with him. That was just utter joy.
Yeah.
And again, he's the opposite of Revenant. So.
But this is what's great to discover about actors, and this is where I think this almost becomes a PSA for anyone watching who wants to get into it. They see, people used to say this about stand-up. They would see me after a show and say, oh man, it must be great being a stand-up. And it is, but I always would tell them, you're seeing the 1% of my life. You're seeing the finished product of the performance, the getting myself booked or getting a manager, writing the material, getting to the gig, doing the hell gigs, doing the shows where it doesn't work out, trying these bits until you get them workshopped to where they're finally good enough to be a closing bit. Same thing goes for the performances people are seeing and hearing. That's why I refer back to your sense of timing that you learned from musical theater. Gwen Verdon taking an issue with, it's not here, it's here. Well, that's just like comedy. If you're off on your timing, the bit doesn't go over. And so you learn this appreciation for timing, for rhythm, for precision, and it goes directly into a microphone in the voiceover world.
It's everyone you work with. I mean, I did the national tour of Little Shop of Horrors right after Broadway, and Jerry Zaks, fabulous Broadway director, but tough. I mean, tough. But he would say, he crafted a joke so well that it would always, you know, we're like, it's going to land every night because we do this.
Yeah.
And I love what he says, like, don't pause. If you pause, they know something's coming. Surprise them. Just keep it going. And then at the end of suddenly Somewhere That's Green, he told Terry Kelly, my good friend, he was like, make them come to you. You don't have to do a big flashy ending. And that's a lot of what, you know, we do in voiceover. It's like, it doesn't have to be huge.
Right.
You asked me what's coming up. What can I talk about? I did Three Below for Guillermo del Toro. It's on Netflix, and we have Wizards coming out very soon.
Okay.
The next chapter of that animated stuff.
Okay.
There's a lot. Watch the Twitter. I'll announce.
Yes.
There's a lot. We did a wonderful. I do a lot with Critical Role. I did a lot on Geek and Sundry. In 2017, and we did. We role played Doom.
Oh,
Matt
wow.
Mercer created it. So they role played Doom, and he's like, you do Samuel Hayden. I'm going to have you off camera, and I have a mask. When I bring the mask up, you improvise in character. And he goes, and start it, and I'll bring the mask up. And so many people thought, how did they get the voice changer? It's like, no, I was off camera.
I think that sometimes when I hear your Revenant, I wonder if they had to treat it electronically at all, because Pathfinder because they needed this electronic patina over my voice to make him sound like there's circuitry in there. But to my knowledge, if there is any gloss put on top of Revenant, it would have to be pretty nuanced, because you're able to go from...
I can hit the low thing. I think they must do a little bit because he does not have he's got that face. There's no moving mouth.
Right.
But when it's, and again, it's really close, and it's like, one slice, stem to stern, it all spills out. We can hit those notes and understand what he's trying to say. But, and again, Dutch makes us sound so good.
Yeah.
He's an amazing, amazing engineer.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know Tommy in the big room at Warner Brothers, where we were lucky enough to do the shorts for Revenant and Forge. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to make you sound good.
Yeah, I from getting to record on certain sound stages, like for The Simpsons, and I think Warner Brothers Big Room, I think I did something for a Clint Eastwood movie there once for J. Edgar. And I didn't get to... Room. Yeah, I know. It's a big one. Every studio has one. Yeah. And you realize you're sitting in front of a mic that is probably a pretty high-end mic, but that board on the other side of the glass is a work of art. It's as long as the whole room, and anything they need to pick up, they can do it, no matter where you're turning.
Blizzard changed my life because they went, "You're not going home to New York." So Blizzard was the first, but that room in Warner Brothers took the next step. I was doing some additional voices on the Warcraft movie.
Okay.
Nobody knew who I was.
Right.
And they started off by going, "Well, we hear you do orc noises, so you're going to do Clancy Brown's exertions and all the fighting stuff." Because I do Black Hand in the game and he did him in the movie. Okay. And all of a sudden they're like, "What? How did you do that?" All of the noises. And thank you. We just got a delivery.
Oh, there you go. I'm always, be nice to your delivery guys and girls.
They're the kindest people.
Yeah.
But that room, we did that. We were like 3-4 days in that room. Then we did Shazam in that room. We did American Pastoral with Ewan McGregor directing us, who was, again, the kindest, most wonderful director. And he stood behind all of us. He was like really up on our shoulders giving direction. And it was just very kind like that, And I called my wife afterwards and I went, "I just want you to know I'm divorcing you and marrying Ewan McGregor." But that room doing Warcraft, when it came time to do Shadow of War, WB Games did not know me. But Robin Atkin-Downs played opposite me in the movie Warcraft, and he said, "There's this new guy, and you should bring him in for a callback." And I walked in front of the whole team, and they're like, "Oh well, who's the dentist?"
Right.
And I came out with that voice, and they went. So that led to everything. So Warner Brothers then became a second home on so many projects with DC and with Warner Brothers Games, and a couple that were canceled that I'm like, darn, I was in an Arkham game and I can't even talk about it because it's never going to happen, and worked, for months on it, and it got canceled because for whatever reason. This happens a lot.
Yeah, it does. It does.
We always, it took 10 years for Hadestown to get to Broadway. Then it won all the awards and it did everything. 10 years in workshops and this, and somebody finally believed in it.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get these things done.
It really does. And it's a leap of faith, not just for one person. I mean, one person takes the leap of faith when they create the material. They hand it to another person who takes a leap of faith to put their reputation on the line.
Yeah.
And then they get hundreds of people to take the leap of faith with them, and they make it happen. So
but that's our business. And that's why we are so lucky.
Yeah.
Who knew that Apex, would become what it is, that people would want to spend time and get so involved in the characters. And we see the fabulous artwork, fabulous cosplay, and that we can inspire that.
Right.
You're just like, it makes my heart grow 3 sizes.
Yeah, it does. Because the hour is drawing near, we can open it up for some questions. So my mods, by the way, 2 of my mods said that you might look into adaptive video game controllers. They might be something that you could use given your hand's condition. If you have not already looked into them, it might be something that could help you. So.
I haven't. I've recently gotten into reading very sad books about, the plague. Written 400 years ago.
Okay.
We were looking into Daniel Defoe's My Journal of the Plague Years and reading this ancient text about what happened during the plague in London and going, it's happening now.
Not quite as bad.
Prologue. And they're like, well, why don't you play a game? No, I must indulge my sadness.
I'm reading a biography of Alexander Hamilton. It's going to take me a long time to get through it, but that was a weird thing. Again,
the
musical based on it.
That I'm on. My wife has done a lot of Lynn's shows, and we were over in London seeing our friend, and he was playing the king in the London version of Hamilton. He's like, "Would you be bothered? Would you like to see it?" Of course, we'd like to see it.
Of course.
And we were waiting in line at concessions, and somebody's like, "Sorry, are you Darin DePaul?" I'm like, "How do you know me?" And they loved Critical Role and they loved Overwatch, and that I like to hide. I like it to be about the character. I'm like, no, it's about the work. That should be about the work.
Right.
And that they know us and they follow us and they believe in us. That's a big responsibility, and we love it.
Yeah,
we love
it is great
being there for them and saying thank you for loving this thing that we love doing, this project that we love being a part of.
Oh yeah, well, I'm an attention whore, so I don't mind people noticing it. Although
Oh,
I
you're
don't.
Wonderful. The
Yeah.
joy that you have.
Yeah.
Again, this ensemble is such a joy to be a part of. Everyone brings a different color. And what you do with Pathfinder is just utter joy. There is an underlying sadness to it, but it's just so captivating. And you want to spend time with him. I love it.
You're very kind, sir.
Well,
Yes.
that's the truth. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind. I'm going to say it. I mean,
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time with Allegra, and we talk very heavy things. I was in New York. We spent the whole day, and we get into that big thing and discussing the characters and the the wonderful backstory of Bloodhound. We're like, "Arr!" We're very serious about this.
Oh,
Kids watching at home. This means a lot to us.
Civ Headed, one of my mods, has the first question.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
Was the way Revenant sounds heavily inspired by the way Samuel Hayden from Doom sounds, or was that
no way
just
at all? In no way at all.
Awesome coincidence.
Absolutely no way at all. Hayden is a little more nasal. Hayden again he really believes he's a good guy. It's placed different, and Revenant is much lower.
Gotcha.
I've seen that before, so I will dispel that myth. People are like, "Oh, it's the same thing." I'm like, I don't hear it. Maybe they do, and thank you, because I love both those characters dearly. But again, Hayden, the way you approach him is he's a hero. This guy is doing the best thing. He is making himself into a monster to forward America. I mean, the human race, not just
right.
And he's a little higher, a little nasalier when he's there. With Revenant down, Revenant much lower, back of the throat kind of thing. But again, they're both scary robot guys. But thank you for that question. And I didn't mean to be disrespectful at all. No. But I was like, I do approach them very, very differently.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Here's one from Lonely Reality.
Thank you for asking. I'm sorry about your name. It's sad.
Lonely Reality. Does it hurt to maintain all the deep voices, Reinhardt, Revenant, etc.?
No. Again, theater training, having that where, sometimes you'll have a mic, but a lot of times you're just projecting, you're learning how to do it.
From the diaphragm.
Yeah, from the diaphragm. And just don't tense up. That's where you'll kill yourself. I had a session early on where there wasn't a director present. They were away, they were phoning in. And they kept trying to get me to, it was a creature. And it was like, I'm like, if I do that, I'm going to lose my voice and I'm not going to give you what you want.
Right.
No, it's got to be rounder, because then I can do it. I can do it for hours. We can make it happen. And lost my voice, was down for 5 days. And you're like, we're performers. We want to please these people. We want our performance to mean something. So I tried desperately. That session, the only one I've had in 7 years, that hurt. And I was down. But Reinhardt's great. He's much more freeing. As you will, you hammer down. You see, it's not, it's keeping it big. It's just joyful. And, I'm a baritone. I guess I could do bass stuff. I listened to the guy, Michael James Leslie was the voice of the plant in 2 productions of Little Shop that I did. And I went on for him once. I got to actually play the plants because he never missed. They're like, Michael does not miss. Massive African-American guy, brilliant performer. He got sick. He was down. They're like, you're on. And it worked because I could do that voice. I would been listening to him. I was on the road 2 years with Little Shop of Horrors. Sometimes playing a month, sometimes a week. You're traveling all the time and you're listening to the performers. And I guess that helped me in my career being an understudy, because you're watching, you're observing, going, well, they need that in order for that to happen. That performer is waiting for that. So when I'm doing the voiceover, that feeds into it, going, well, what will the other character expect? How do I give them the information that they need? It gets very technical in its process and no one wants to hear.
It's okay. What
I get very actory. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Thank you for your question. You're very kind.
Here's one from Sir Smirks a lot. You've done many.
Better than the one with the reality that wasn't good. This one's at least happy.
We need to get them together so they can.
Yes. They'll be a full person.
Yes. Sir Smirks a lot would like to know if you have a favorite video game character that you've played, since you've played so many.
Every time I go in, getting to share the time with the writers and the directors, it's utter joy. I can't pick a favorite because every time is just, it's everything I studied to do. It's everything I've been wanting to do for years. And I'm just so happy. When we went in and did Jonah Jameson for the Spider-Man game, and they fought hard for me to get that. And that was utter joy. And Chris Zimmerman, who's a fabulous director, she was like, you're a stage actor, you know this, you're all about focus. I'm not going to show you any of the lines. It's going to be, we're going to flash it on the screen, you see the first word, you go. It's like, you know this character, you know this guy, ride the wave of the line. And that was a moment that became a favorite, because I'm like, oh, you can take these great long blocks of text and ride that wave. So if favorite characters, no, but favorite moment, I loved that, because that was a challenge that she gave me, and I loved taking it. And spending time with him was great, and that he was fully formed and could go in ways that would surprise you, that it's not just all angry, you know, Spider-Man. And that the writing was so funny, and that was great. But that one time in the studio when she just challenged me, she's like, don't look at it, just see what comes out. And a lot of what was used in the game is first takes. Like,
it's funny. Yeah, that's funny also because it's completely different projects. So we've both done Jonah Jameson.
Oh, hey!
Yeah, I did it for the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man theme park ride in Orlando at Islands of Adventure there.
Yeah.
Different project because you've got to be loud. There's all kinds of noise, and it's Parker! You know, it's really up here! Always shouting and growly. There are no quiet moments. This wonderful
thing. They're like, well, he's going to do a podcast. And it was only going to be one day. They're like, it'll be, you might swing by and hear it. And then they fell in love with it at Insomniac. They're very kind, like, oh, we're going to make this a thing. And it just was wonderful. They kept writing more and more and more. And then when it came time to promote the game, they're like, well, let's let Jonah do it with his podcast.
Yeah.
And so they made commercials with him doing it. And I got to do some with Yuri Lowenthal, phenomenal performer that I got to spend time with. And again, every time you go in and get to explore these different worlds, look, I sound like this. Nobody's going to buy this. But when I can adapt it to sound like these different people, that's the joy. That's the delicious thing that you do to portray everything. But I love it. Sorry, you and I are roundabout way. I apologize. Happy smiling name.
No, you and I both have kind of the same thing. We have a relatively indistinct speaking voices that are somewhere in the mid-range, but we can stretch them. And
it's about having range. I mean, they love that in theater. There was a lot of, did a couple, Shakespeare things, and I got started in voiceover through a Shakespeare show at a Shakespeare theater. And because there was someone who was working on something, and they went, let's use you. But they would go, you do musical theater, so you obviously can't act, and we can't use you on this and this and this. And you just hit these walls all the time going, but I can. I studied. And in voiceover, they went, oh, you do that? Come on in. You've got the training. You've got, the resume. You've got the goods. Come on in. And that's what I found from everybody, the actors in the community. That's what was that night at karaoke. Everybody in the Apex cast was like, come on in.
Yeah.
This is us.
Yeah.
We're this wonderful team of misfits.
Welcome.
That get to create this thing.
Speaking
that was not an answer to a question. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We've got our 2-minute warning. So here's what we can do. I'll ask you one last question, and then maybe we could do a little Pathfinder Revenant. One last question that several people have asked. Do you have a favorite Revenant line that you get to speak?
No, I love being him. I love the totality of him. Again, we're all very lucky. They give us such wonderful, delicious dialogue. And every single one, it's how do you approach it? And I love that they'll use the 3 takes that we do in the game. And it's just, I don't want to reduce it to one thing because you play all of him. That's the way I approach it.
Yes.
When you get behind that mic, you are him at that moment. And it's, you are that dedicated, that focused. So every line just becomes, you're present, you're aware, you lift the writing off the page, and that's our craft and skill. I know that sounds kind of blah, 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 but it is our craft, and I love doing it. So everything that they give me is joy, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Yes.
Where the story goes. Will he be teamed up with somebody? Will he always be an outcast? There was I loved St. Elsewhere. I loved the TV show St. Elsewhere so much. And I loved William Daniels' character of Dr. Mark Craig. And this brilliant surgeon, but there is a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And he was invited to a wedding, and he's like, not going. Ehrlich's wedding, his, apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have meant the world had he gone to this wedding.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been a person. And the shot was William Daniels outside in the rain, and you're going, is he going to go in? Is he going to join them? Is he going to break that wall down? Nope. Turns around, makes the bad choice. And that moment is so powerful. And I love that. It's like, Game of Thrones is a story of bad choices. Maybe that's where Apex is going. Will Revenant constantly make the choice that will lead to him not being fulfilled, him not getting what he wants ultimately?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for the ride.
Well, it has been quite a ride. And
I talk very fast. I'm a New Yorker. I'm sorry. I get very excited.
No. I'm glad you do, because we've been able to jam a bunch of extra material into this 1 hour, which is.
I hope people liked it. I hope they
Yeah.
got a little inspired and see me that go, wow, how does he do all that stuff? He looks like somebody's accountant.
Well, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point, is that voice acting doesn't have a profile you're supposed to fit. And that's one of the great things about the job. So,
and that we can connect everyone.
Yeah.
In a way, it's so wonderful that during this crazy time,
Mm-hmm.
that there are communities in Apex, in Overwatch, in the Star Wars: The Old Republic. People can get together and game together and feel connected as humans, even though we are so apart. That gaming is a force for good in this time.
Mm-hmm.
Who thought? And
Absolutely.
that we get to be part of it, that we are so privileged that we get to go, thank you, here is the gift of our performance. I said it at BlizzCon. It's like a teacher of mine said, when you're acting, you're saying, here is my gift, here is my joy, here is my heart for you. And we are doing that. We're sharing what means the most to us.
It's the greatest job I've ever had, being able to do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. I'm sure they're giving you the sign. Can you
My
indulge
wife
us?
going, hi, and I was like, hi.
Yeah.
We
All right.
Set up in the back, and I got to change, and
Okay.
then I got to shout like a monster for 4 hours.
Let's give them.
But that's my life.
You said you had one idea for Pathfinder and Revenant for ad lib. If you wanted to give it a shot, did you have a scenario?
Oh, just start.
Okay. Well, somebody had the idea of Pathfinder and Revenant at the Halloween event. Maybe Pathfinder meeting Revenant at the Halloween event, where we sort of start learning about Revenant.
Sure.
So, okay. Hi, are you one of the Marvins like me? I mean, you don't quite dress like me, but I'm ready to give anyone a high five right now.
Hey, buddy, why are you talking to him? Why don't you talk to me, your old pal Forge? Come on, man. Eat your vegetables, take your vitamins. That's a Forge tip to you, right? And then, you don't eat vegetables or take vitamins. You're a robot, aren't you? Hey, buddy. Hey, Pathfinder. Hey, pal.
Yeah.
You do me a favor? This is something I have to have. Would you tell Anita I said hi? No, wait. Tell Anita I said, hey. No, wait. Tell Anita I said, hello. Never defeated. That's a Forge tip for you.
Wow, never defeated? That's amazing. We should squad up sometime. If you're not going to lose, I'd love for you to be my pal.
Sure thing. I love you. Forge out. That was fine. I was like, Revenant, if you asked him to do something, would go, no. He would stare at you for longer than is comfortable, longer than is necessary, then just tilt his head and walk away. Forge would be like, hi.
I was waiting for Revenant to show up.
Wonderful. I'm joyful. I'm so happy to be here. And also, I'm really good at what I do. Oh, somebody stabbed me.
Forge has a little bit of that foghorn leghorn with him, too. Hey, pay attention, boy.
Yeah. I love, and they captured our movement. They filmed it so that when it was like, when I hit the ground, and that whole thing, if that was me going, what was that line? Up close and personal. And I was pointing that way when I did it with Anna. And I was like, oh, there it is in the animation. And that was so wonderful to see. And then the different things that we did with Revenant on his one line. I'm just happy to be in this world. And I just thank everybody for going on this wild ride with us. And, we got more adventures to come.
Yep. And as you were doing Forge, I was thinking any second now he's going to do Revenant sneaking up behind Forge and scaring the crap out of him. But no, subvert expectations.
We have to end it on a happy note.
End it happy.
We do.
That's
and
right.
It's hard. I go, how do you do Revenant with there's a helicopter ahead, and I don't know if they can hear me.
Oh, they hear you
fine. Kids are being nice. They're listening. I'm very old now going, the kids are nice. They're listening to us at home.
Such a great game. I mean.
Such a punum on you, Chris Edgley. You're wonderful.
Your smiling visage. Well,
that was Jerry Zaks on Broadway. Be like, you want to know about acting, my darling? I'll tell you about acting. When you ask a question, you go up. When you make a statement, you go down. That's acting. Just be truthful, be there. That's acting, my darling. And don't pause, don't know something's coming. Good. You're wonderful. You're wonderful. You're wonderful, my darling.
That's great. It's like a little bit of Jackie Mason in there. Same thing.
Jackie Mason. Oh,
you go up, you go down.
I missed this time. Bill Irwin was one of my, big inspirations. I studied with David Shiner, his partner, because I was for a while. I know we're going off. My wife's like, I was going to be a Cirque du Soleil clown. That's where I was headed in my theater career. We were going to do a show called Pomp, Duck, and Circumstance, which was dinner Cirque du Soleil, and I did all that clown training, which I think helps the specificity of my choices. But Bill Irwin just did a show in LA last year, and I brought my friend Erica Ishii. I'm like, experience this. I saw it in New York. Learn. It was all about Beckett and how the clown approaches Beckett and how you approach every line, because a lot of that is unpunctuated text. So how do you make sense of that?
Right.
No one wants to hear this. They just
want Forge
being happy. I'm sorry.
No, they do. It's just that I know that I'm keeping you from your job, and
I gotta go change and get ready. There's a lot of good stuff coming. There's a lot of projects that I wish I could tell you about. A lot are coming out in June and July.
Okay.
A lot haven't been announced that I think when you hear them, you'll be like, yay! I hope. But it's a wild ride that we're all on. And just, thank you for liking what we like doing.
Absolutely. Same message here.
And I get to work with you now and meet you.
And I get to work with you. I'm happy I'm on this ride with you and the rest of the Apex cast. And
they're utter joy. They're so lovely.
Yeah.
You guys text all the time. I'm the old man going, I have nothing to say.
I know. You've never taken yourself off the text thread. And I see Darin is looking at this just going, yeah, that's nice. I'm going to stay out of it.
Thank you for including me. But I go, what am I going to say?
Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Everybody seems so nice. I haven't met a lot of them. I met some at that karaoke night, but I really haven't met a lot. And I look forward to the time that we all get to be together and go, we are a cast.
Yes.
There's that great joy that you have of, this is us. This is our ensemble. This is the joy that we bring. When you see these great people like Johnny, like JB, like Roger, who I've worked with on a couple pilots, who is so amazingly talented.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for doing this and bringing us all together and getting people to know
pleasure.
who we are.
My pleasure. I like to stay busy, Darin. I like to stay busy like you. So
busy's good.
Yes. Have a great session. Yes. Right. Have a great session. We will talk again soon.
Best to your family and everybody watching. Stay safe and healthy. We're all going to get through this, and we get through it together, through these games, through these projects that we love. Thank you. We will see you one day again in person. We look forward to it.
Absolutely. Be well, sir.